Hi, my name is Corey Maydell, and I'm the CEO of the JOTA Performance Group. And welcome to our series, How HR Becomes a Force for Greatness Rather than a Necessary Evil. We're going to focus on culture protection and productivity, the way with which we describe HR, and over the course of many weeks, we're going to do a series of, I would say, HR 101. So let's start with what JOTA thinks of HR, how we bucket HR, how we explain it. For us, HR comes in three buckets: culture, protection, and productivity. Culture is the foundation of the house. It's important to cultivate an intentional culture through systems and practices. So as you imagine building a house, the first thing you think about is the foundational piece. It's important to start with that. Then you need to make sure that you're protecting your organization from legislative threats. So you want to make sure that you're protecting the company from liability from the employment relationship. Then finally, you want to focus on productivity. So without HR practices in place, we know that employees usually perform at anywhere between 50 and 80% capacity. On average, an average employee operates at about 50% capacity, and a high performer at about 80%. We know for sure without HR practices, that goes down. So you could say to yourself, well, are those numbers accurate? I guess the question is, do you know what your numbers are? And are you getting maximum productivity out of your employees? For us at JOTA, HR should have systems in place that champion the corporate culture, protect your organization, and increase employees' productivity, which ultimately leads to organizational performance. Let's talk about culture. So culture, I'm just going to read it for you because otherwise I'll be popping my eyes up and down. Workplace culture reflects everything from recruitment to termination and everything in between. It includes vision, mission, purpose, values, roles and responsibilities, work environment, and symbolism, all of which must align to create an ideal structure. Every organization's culture is different. The key is to define yours and align it to everything. I can't say enough how important it is from our perspective to start with the culture. Set the foundation of HR, set the foundation of your organization in order to achieve your ultimate performance goals. So what we did is we took culture, protection, and productivity, and we put some key result areas underneath it. So under culture, we start with organizational intention, culture, communication, organizational structure, leadership versus management, change management. So this series that we'll be doing going forward will have a breakdown of each one of these in more detail. So this is what we see key result areas under culture should be. We'll get into protection just a little bit in more detail. Just as you ensure your business against external threats, investment in HR can help you protect you and your employees against threats that are within your control. So these include legislative threats related to the employment of people. They also include the need to ensure employers are fully utilizing all the systems you invest in. We see organizations investing an enormous amount of money and not making sure that investment is protected. So under protection, the key result areas we see are legislative knowledge, metrics, so making sure you're measuring what it is that you're doing, total compensation, you want to protect yourself. There's an 80-20 rule. If you make sure that employees are being treated fairly and consistently from a compensation perspective, they think of comp about 20% of the time. If they don't think they're being treated fairly and consistently, they think about it about 80% of the time. So you want to protect yourself from that. You want to make sure that your employees are happy and feeling like they're being treated consistently and fairly. You want to make sure you have good HR record keeping, policy and procedure handbook, absence management, health and safety, making sure that overall you're protected as an organization. Now we go down to productivity. So ultimately performance is the goal. HR is about driving behavior. If it's not doing that, then something's wrong. The role of HR is to put systems in place that increase productivity to enhance overall performance. This is only possible when the right structure in place and everything done within that structure aligns to it. So again, we start with the culture piece, the foundation, protect, and then productivity is in the middle. So looking at productivity key result areas, we've got recruitment and selection, making sure that you're hiring the right people, you've got the right structure in place, onboard and orient them well, make sure that they're developed and managed, and creating a learning work environment and a place where I can grow and learn. Because the stats of why people stay within organizations, pay is usually 4 to 6, but the first few are about growing and learning and being better at who I am. So invest in the development of your staff. Today's focus, however, or not however, but today's focus is culture. Key result area number 1 is organizational intention. So vision, mission, goals, values, symbolism. Let's talk about vision and mission for a moment. You might call it a guiding principle. You might call it a credo. The bottom line is every single time we've gone into an organization to ask employees what it is that they need or want, they always want to know where the organization is going. And there's something about, you can talk about it, you can write about it, but you have to keep embedding it in what it is that they do so that they're always understanding how what part they play in achieving it. If they can't figure out what they need to do to get there, they're not going to be as productive as they'd like to be. And the truth is, employees want to know. So get really clear on your vision and mission and make sure they're involved in the process, or at the very least understand how they play a part in the achievement. So do employees know where you're going? Number 1. Goals, do they know what you need to achieve in order to achieve that vision? Values are how they show up. That's the behavioral value piece. That's how I align to your organization, to your culture. What we believe is that if an employee is working out well within your organization, then there's value alignment. If an employee is not working out very well in your organization, then we believe there's value disalignment. And you can't afford to have that. So when it comes to vision and mission, getting really clear on where you're going, making sure employees have goals set for themselves, that they know how to help you achieve that. Hire employees that have value alignment to yours, and make sure your symbolism aligns. What are your symbols? Who are you? Nike has the swoosh. What's your symbol? And how does it tie to everything that you do and how you do it? One thing to think about too is we've seen values in organizations where I've walked in and I saw this plaque on the wall and it had like this word jumble of about 10 words. And I asked, what is that? And they said, well, those are our values. And I said, and so how are they embedded within your organization? They said, they're on the wall. And they think people know what they are. I know that they don't because we've asked. Unless it's embedded in everything that you do, how could I possibly know? We were doing a workshop the other day and we were doing a performance program we were rolling out a performance program that this company had written. And nowhere in it were their values. And we said, well, how are you keeping those alive if they're not embedded in how you're measuring my performance? As soon as we were done the educational piece of the rollout, one of the employees said, how come the values aren't in here? So employees want to know what it is you expect of them. Put that in place for them. Help them know what it is that you need from them. So key result area number 1, organizational intention. I can tell you that we don't ever go into an organization and start doing work until we know what these are. Because if we ever created HR without this, we wouldn't be creating your HR. That's when HR becomes a necessary evil. It becomes something that you do just to get by because you got to get this stuff in place. If HR is built with your vision, your mission, your goals, your values, and your symbolism in place, your ultimate culture, I will guarantee you that HR can be a force for greatness for you within your organization, and it can have an absolute impact on your bottom line. So I want you to ask yourself, do your employees know where the company's going? If they don't, they need to. Behavioral values are how an employee shows up. Is there value alignment within your company? Do employees know what you expect of them? Are your values embedded in all your HR materials? If they're not, they need to be. From the point with which you hire me to the point with which you fire me and everything in between. Values need to play a part because it's how you expect me to show up. It's how I show up every day. Do your employees know what goals need to be met to achieve your vision and mission? If they don't, how can they possibly help you get there? I did a workshop once and I said, hey, we're all going to go to Prince George. How do you want to get there? And somebody said, I'm going to fly, I'm going to walk, I'm going to take the bus, I'm going to hitchhike. One person said, I ain't going to Prince George. So the question is, do your employees know where you're going and how you're going to get there? Because if everyone's going to Prince George, or maybe only some are, and they're all taking different routes, you're not going to get there as efficiently as you could be. Your productivity isn't going to be as high as it can be. So what I want you to know about JODA is that we believe in working with companies to build a strong foundation of culture that's protected and productive. That's our job as HR. We take a team approach. We meet you where you are. We'll never put anything in place that doesn't align with your organizational intention. And if anyone ever puts anything in place from an HR perspective that doesn't align with your organizational intention, stop them. because it won't work. It absolutely won't drive behavior in the way that you intend. And we can help you build a foundation for a strong and sustainable HR program. We've worked with well over 250 organizations in 21 industries. We know what we're talking about, and we know how to make sure what we put in place is sustainable for you. So remember, culture, protection, productivity. The very first key result area is organizational intention. If you do nothing else, mind you, there's lots more I'll ask you to do, but if you do nothing else, get really clear, please, on your vision, your mission, your goals, your values, because that's what I, as an employee, I'm going to be attracted to, and that's what's going to drive my behavior. I thank you for joining us today, and I look forward to seeing us next time. Now, I'm going to take a moment here and figure out how to stop this recording, so bear with me for a moment. Thank you. Take care. It's been a pleasure.